Hello everybody and welcome back to a breakdown video. Just wanted to go over yesterday's EU trade today. We'll talk a little bit about minor structure as well, just because it's the structure that I see the most questions come from, a little bit of confusion, which is understandable. It's definitely a little bit more, not complex, but it takes longer to be able to adjust your eyes to see both ranges at the same time, if that makes sense. So what we're going to do today, we're not going to start from the very start. We're going to start from here, okay? And then we'll get rid of all of this. And then we'll drop back down to the 1 minute, and we're going to start from here. So what can we see from this perspective alone, okay? So straight off the bat, we can see this huge impulse to the upside. What did that huge impulse do? So we had our previous structure. Let me just refresh myself. So we've broken to the upside, okay? So we have that situation 1 in 10, and we have this OB down here, okay? Now, obviously, from this perspective, this looks a little bit ridiculous because what we're essentially going to need is we're going to need a pullback all the way back down, right? And then we're going to need a pullback all the way back up. And by the time we get up here, I highly doubt it's still going to be, you know, at a decent time. So straight away from this view here, I'm essentially saying, okay, so essentially we're extending to the upside. We can now expect some sort of pullback back. I need to understand that if we pull back from here, because we've just created that new major high and that new major low, that current range, generally speaking, we're going to have minor structure now, unless obviously we break to the upside, then we break back down and we can do some sort of counter. So let's just continue to play, and I'll talk through what I saw. Now, I'm going to sort of join the breakdown and the minor structure together. So if we just wait for this low to create itself. Is it this one? No. There we go. So what we can see here, I'm going to get rid of the sessions indicator for now. What we can see here, okay, we've got our major high. So let me do that. So that's your major range, okay? We know that that's the major high and that's the major low, the most recent major break of structure, okay? Now inside that range is where we create the minor. So you're always going to need that major range to create itself before that minor structure can create itself. So that minor is always going to be inside your major, okay? Major first, minor second. Now, how do we know once a minor high or low has been created? Well, essentially you just need a pullback, okay? So in this scenario, we needed this body break here to confirm this pullback, and this is your low, okay? If it was the other way around, we'd have been looking at a pullback to the downside to create that new high, okay? As simple as that. You need a pullback, just like the major structure, to create that range, okay? So now we have our low. So what do we need to do? We need to wait for the high to create itself. Now in this one here, the high creates itself in the very next candle, which is, you know, nice and easy, very fast, happy days. So now what you've got is you've got your minor low and you've got your minor high, okay? So just like the major structure, situation 1, we're doing exactly the same thing, but it's inside that overall range, okay? Let's continue to play and see what happens. Oh, that was too fast. Let me go back. Okay, so what happens there? That minor low gets broken. So what do we know that creates? That creates the intent. We'll just not label it as 1. Our major high stays exactly the same. Okay, so now we have the first rule. So what are we going to be expecting? We're now, of course, going to be expecting price to come back to here to create that mitigation, right? So let's get rid of that so it's nice and clear. Let's wait for the successful retrace to start. Is it this one? Yeah, so the successful retrace has started here. We know it started here because why? We have that body break, okay? So we've got our new range, we've got our low, and we've got our high. Now for the minor structure here to create a trade, we know that with this leg here needs to mitigate somewhere within that impulsive OB for that minor structure, okay? So let's continue to play. Okay, so now obviously we're not expecting, but we're anticipating now a move down to break that low, and then we've got that order flow transition. So let's just continue. Okay, let me go back 1. I always do that. Okay, so what do we get? We get that mitigation and we get that second break of structure, okay? How's the probability? The probability is looking good. We have good momentum to the downside with imbalance. Price then comes up between the open and the 50%, and then we get again nice momentum to the downside, okay? All making sense? Now what we need to do is we need to find our, so let's get rid of this. We need to find our POI, right? nice and easy. So in this scenario here, I think a lot of you marked this. And while that makes complete sense to me, because obviously you just look for the imbalance, what that does do is it ignores the high of the up candle. So what I mean by the up candle is the one that broke the previous candle. So what you're basically doing if you're marking that is you're ignoring the price action within that wick, okay? Which is for me why, if it's not the clearest and I'm not 100% confident in using a base like this, I'll simply mark out the whole range of the up candle, like so, and then we need to refine that down, okay? And then we use obviously the normal rules of refinement to do that. Okay, so let's do that. Let's have a look at the refinement. So are we in a major range? Yes, we are. Break, 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 upside, break, break. So where's the candle here that breaks the structure? Okay, not really clear, not really ideal. We have this body break to the upside, so we know this is our OB. However, what is that? It's outside the range, so we can't use that. It's simply invalid to use this 30 second here. So let's move down to the 15 second. Okay, on the 15 second, let's just make us aware of where our ranges are. So we broke the low. Okay, perfect. Now in this scenario here, what we could have used this. However, what we can see is there is no imbalance. Okay, it's already been touched. There's no gap in between to the next candle. It's straight to that wick. Okay, and as you guys know, for me, when I refine, I need imbalance. Okay, I absolutely need it. So again, we can't use anything on the 15 second. That's not obviously a minor OB, so we're not interested in that. That's the only OB we would have been interested in, but it's already been wicked, no imbalance. So let's move down to the 5 second. Now, I actually made a mistake here, which we'll see now. So basically what I saw here is, okay, so we had our low and we had our high. We broke, retrace, broke, high, low, break. And we've got a really nice, clear, small with imbalance impulsive OB there for this time frame. Okay, and then what I did then is I saw this as the low, which obviously it is, and it broke structure here, but I didn't see this body break. Okay, so what I then did is I marked out this POI. Okay, completely my fault, not valid at all. I just completely missed it in real time because here you have that body break to the upside, so that would have been your range for that POI. Okay, so that first POI actually wasn't valid, which is obviously good for me because it didn't give an entry anyway. But if he did, and I took an L, you know, I'd have been upset. Well, not upset, but you know what I mean. I'd have been annoyed with myself that I made a mistake. But we're all human. We all make mistakes. So in this scenario here, we actually only have one valid OB, okay, to trade from that base time frame. Now, obviously, what you want to do here is you want to have a look on your next time frames up. So let's look at the 2 minute. So on the 2 minute, what we basically had is we had 2 minute and 10, and we had this OB here. So we actually had conflict on the 2 minute. However, moving up to the 3 minute, what we can now see is we've had that 3 minute first break, and we've had that 3 minute, but yeah, I can't speak, successful retrace start, and we're just within this range at the moment of this low and this high. So this says to me, okay, so we're trading inside the 3 minute range. We've had this mitigation on the 3 minute, and now we're simply expecting price to follow through and break structure to the downside. So that 2 minute here didn't put me off simply because of this 3 minute. The 4 and the 5 minute weren't in play at the moment, so that had no say on anything. But yes, there was this 2 minute candle above, but because on the 3 minute we were within this range, right? Exactly the same thing. We create this low with this body break, we create the high with the body break. Intent to the downside, successful retrace has started with this body break. We've got a mitigation, and now we're simply expecting price to break to the downside. Okay, that coupled with the fact of how small our refinement was. So how small did we actually get to? I think it was below a pip, like 0.6. Yeah, 0.6, yeah, 0.6 pips. So it was super small POI as well, and obviously, and it was on the 5 second as well. So let's continue from here and just watch what happens. Okay, so we've met the POI. Let me go back a little bit. So where we meet it. Okay, perfect. So at this point, we've met the POI and we can see our range low. So our range low here. We know it's here because obviously this is the last point we have that body break, okay? So all we're interested in right now is breaking this structure to the downside. Continue to play. Okay, so what do we get? We get that break to the downside. What do we quickly need to do? We quickly need to check the 15 second range. Okay, 15 second range isn't in play, so it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters here is the 5 second. Cool. Now, in terms of the OB here, where is it? Well, technically we've got this here, right, with imbalance at the top. Did that go there? There we go. But as you guys know, I don't like to be too perfect on the second time frame, simply because you'll end up missing loads of trades, right? So here you could have gone for a 1 pip stop loss and gone for the high. But what we do have is we do have this last buy candle here, okay? So ideally for me, as you guys know, I like to go off the last buy candle. Don't like to be too perfect if I can within my stop loss range. So I simply put my limit on, okay? Marked up my maximum stop loss, which is 2 pips. And I saw here, okay, so I can't use this candle simply because I can't cover the high with my stop loss, okay? So all I did is I moved up, okay? I accounted for a small amount for spread. You know, it does fluctuate very slightly on EU, and obviously any wicks above, and then I just simply set the limit there, okay? So that's why I set it there. I was using the basis of the last buy candle within this range. However, obviously knowing that I need to cover the high because this is the actual OB with the imbalance, okay? And again, the reason I do that is because a lot of the time on the seconds time frame, what you will find is you get some sort of retracement, but not as deep as you expect, and then you get that move away. So there's no point being perfect for the sake of a pip, in my opinion. If you want to, then of course you can. So let's continue to play. So here we create the new low. So that's obviously if we get ticked in, that's going to be our break-even point. Okay, so here we get ticked in, and then we continue to move away, and then we get that break-even point. So break-even there straight away. And then what's the next most important thing to do? It's to find where you're going to take your partial. So let's have a look for that. What's happened here? Eight, 9, and 10. There we go. So obviously alert is set just above, and then partial's taken when we get to that point. And then we can continue to play. Let's go on to 15. Get a nice move away, a little pullback, a little patience tester. Okay, and then we go on to hit that target low for that 1 to 10. Now, obviously, you guys that are on funding, you know, just close all of it. There's no point holding anything else. That 10% is all you need, and we end up hitting that 1 to 10 in under 9 minutes. So a very quick rate of return on that one. Cool. So I hope that all made sense. I hope that helped with the minor structure. I'll be getting a lot of questions about that, so hopefully seeing it in a real life scenario, you know, it's going to make more sense and you'll be able to apply it yourself. Obviously use this video as a reference if you get confused. In terms of overall target, so we were very bullish on these higher time frames. We obviously had this daily right below. We also had this 1 hour. So that, you know, somewhere within this sort of range, you know, that imbalance, that low perhaps. And then what you could have done for the swing target is target that low there for a 1 to 50, which is exactly what I did. And then we actually break through it, but I think, and then I think it was overnight. Yeah, we start to pull back up. And then this morning, this afternoon, I should say, was taken, was that right? No. That remaining small volume was taken break even. So we hit a max risk to reward there of 1 to 73. I think the highest amount that made sense to take, the next partial point was at that 1 to 50. But overall, a really nice move, to be fair, really clear, really high probability. The only confusion I think I saw was that 2 minute, but obviously we understand that we were within that 3 minute range. So we're still expecting price to come to obviously follow through that 3 minute range. And then obviously on that 1 minute, we did refine it down really nicely to that 5 seconds. So, you know, the smaller your POI is, the higher the probability of that reaction that you get is going to be. So that is all for today. I hope that was helpful. Any questions, as always, let me know, and I will see you in the next one.